You may remember the uproar in April 2011 over a J.Crew print advertisement featuring a mother painting her son's toenails neon pink. Conservative groups demanded the controversial gender role-bending ad be pulled. Other stories, such as the militantly gender-neutral Swedish preschool, have continued to stir strong emotions and to revive the debate over homosexual nature versus nurture. Are homosexuals born, or are they made? Pinpointing the start of homosexual predilections is the focus of an ongoing study by researchers in the Center for Children and Families at the University of New York at Buffalo. To many conservative, religious, and anti-homosexual groups, this story will be shocking. Researchers who are performing this extensive study say preliminary findings conclusively point to homosexuality as an innate trait. They say they have discovered homosexual infants, Gaybies. Here is Elizabeth Embry with the full story.
At first glance, it looks like any nursery. A dozen cribs are bedecked in white bedding, arranged under a dozen black and white mobiles of simple shapes. Instead of a few motherly, if harried, temporary caregivers, there are lab-coated researchers drifting among the cribs, observing and taking notes. I asked Research Director Dr. Jonathan Pinchot what made this daycare so special.
In this room, they're all Gaybies.
As I watched a round-faced, golden-haired baby being fed organic baked apples and blueberries pureed into butternut squash with a pinch of mint, I asked Dr. Pinchot how his research began.
I suppose it really began when I was sitting outside a coffee shop in the city, and I saw the most fabulous baby in a stroller. I was compelled to talk to its mother. I introduced myself as a psychologist from the university, and she introduced me to Brighton, her baby. Well, now I know he was a Gaybie.
Contrary to some reports, Dr. Pinchot and his colleagues did not begin with any preconceived notions or a homosexual agenda.
We didn't expect any conclusive results. As a researcher, I designed my studies to provide positive information regardless of the results. In other words, ours was not a study of gay versus not gay babies. We were studying indicators of future sexual preference in babies. Well, it was equally likely we would find negative results, meaning that there were no indicators of sexual orientation either way. Quite frankly, it was startling to come up with such clear-cut results so quickly. I never expected an answer to our question. I expected more questions, but what I got was, well, Gaybies.
While in the observation room, I remarked that the babies were all so beautiful.
Yes, they are, aren't they? It's one of the hallmarks of a Gaybie.
What are some of the other traits that indicate a Gaybie?
We've narrowed it down to a list of 5 main attributes that, if all are met, virtually assures a parent they have a Gaybie. Those attributes are widely recognized beauty, fastidiousness, psychological predilection for coordinating colors, preference for certain types of music, and unusual carpal flexibility. You can see for yourself in our color room. Come on in. We found that we could really refine the color coordination test as we began to determine which infants were probably Gaybies and which were probably not.
Can you describe for us one of your tests?
Yes, you can actually see here. This is Tristan, and he's one of our favorite subjects for the color test.
Is Tristan a Gaybie?
Oh, yes, very much so. He loves the color tests. We've been able to refine the color tests as far as we have because of Tristan. If you watch him here, we have individual paint sample cards. We began with primary color cards, the kind you might find in any elementary school, but those were really too basic for the Gaybies. On a whim, one of our researchers who was doing some home renovation brought in a bunch of Martha Stewart color swatch cards, the kind with 5 shades of color, and Tristan was ecstatic. He could play with those for hours, but then one day he started ripping them. We thought that right there was the end of our research study, but it turns out he was trying to separate the colors so he could put them together with other colors. He was doing sophisticated color matching. Tristan just didn't have the coordination to tear cleanly because he's an infant. That's when we brought in individual color cards. And that researcher took Tristan's advice not only for her kitchen, but for all the colors in her house. It looks fantastic.
This research is not without its hazards. The research labs have fielded death threats from professed conservatives and from the religious right. Researchers now have police escorts to and from the parking lot. There are always protesters just outside the legal distance from the lab. Dr. Pinchot told me there are two types of people whose presence hampers their research.
Some of the protesters, who you'll find outside, believe for some reason that we're actually making gay babies. We are doing nothing of the sort. We are professional scientists. We're merely discovering, observing, and analyzing already gay babies. These kind of protesters won't listen to anything we have to say. They don't believe in our research, nor are they willing to listen.
Outside the facility, I stopped to interview some of the protesters.
Babies are happy! Babies aren't gay! Babies are happy! Babies aren't gay!
What do you believe is going on inside this lab?
They're taking normal, loving American babies and exposing them to homosexual things to make more gays. They're trying to counteract our programs to free people from homosexuality by creating more gay people from the ground up.
Well, what if I told you that they aren't? That they're actually being very careful not to influence the infants one way or another?
Liars! I understand why these groups are so vehement. Our research's findings prove that homosexuality is an inborn trait. We've proven that you can't make gays because they're already gay. These results fly in the face of what their religions teach. Plus, these Gaybies are so adorable. The fact that they could be adorable and homosexual is just too great a leap for the protesters to make.
You mentioned another group that was trying to interfere with your research?
Yes. This group, however, is not here to stop our research. They want to hijack our research findings for their own agenda. Their own horrible agenda.
Founded by Jean Newmar in 1976, Vision of America is an organization devoted to bringing Christianity and Christian morals to every American. They have, as you might suspect, clear opinions on homosexuality. Vice President of Vision of America, Jason Graysondon, explains more.
Vision of America, unlike many other Christian organizations, embraces science. If Dr. Pinchot says they found that people are born gay and can prove it, then we believe them.
Really? Because the other Christian organizations I've spoken to believe that homosexuality is an abomination, that it's acquired through bad living.
It is an abomination, but we cannot ignore scientific fact. If Dr. Pinchot's study is replicable, and there are Gaybies, we want to find them.
To what end?
So we can remove them from the normal population, expand the research into genetics, and see if we can prevent gay gene carriers from making Gaybies. Gaybies must be stopped by any means possible.
By any means possible?
By any means possible. It's our Christian duty.
Dr. Pinchot is, understandably, torn.
I'm a scientist, a researcher. I see a question without an answer, and I'm compelled to find an answer. I saw the possibility of gay babies, and I had to find out. I don't want my research twisted by these groups for social engineering. Gaybies are babies. That's all there is to it. My research will not be used as a culling tool. I'm sorry. It's just that I love these Gaybies. Who's to say Sebastian here won't grow up to cure cancer? That Gabriel won't be president? That Barry or Chance or Armand won't revolutionize the fashion industry? Gaybies are simply fabulous babies.
My name is Abigail, and I am a mother of 3. I have a girl, Zoe, who's 6, a boy, Michael, who is 4, and a Gaybie, Stefan, who is 6 months old. I interviewed Abigail in her home, and after my experiences with the Gaybies in Dr. Pinchot's lab, I had no doubt that Stefan was, indeed, a Gaybie. I asked this mother of 3 if Dr. Pinchot's determination had come as a shock. Oh, yes, I'll say. I only participated in the study because I hoped to disprove their theory. My world was turned upside down. Are you saying you wish you hadn't known? No. Deep down, I think I knew already. I just denied it. I denied all of it. I was one of the true believers who said homosexuality is not only learned, but one of the basest depravities. I was raised in a Christian family with very strong values. Strong values indeed. What did your father think? Oh, he hit the roof, of course. Abigail's father, Stefan's grandfather, is founder of Vision of America, Gene Newmar. We tried to contact Mr. Newmar, but he could not be reached for comment. My father took my family out of the will. He mailed back any photo he had with Stefan torn in half. My father had been very close to all of my kids, but especially to Stefan. They had a special bond. My father took great pride in bringing out his baby pictures and showing everyone how much he and Stefan looked alike. Oh, wow. I hadn't really thought about that till just now. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Pinchot and the other researchers at the Center for Children and Families understand that this research is still far from complete. Although they have released their socially shocking initial findings, they are still trying to recruit families who believe they may, indeed, have a beautiful, bouncing Gaybie, and they are hoping to expand their research to include girl babies. But what this research has done already is reopen the conversation. It has caused even the staunchest in the anti-gay movement to reconsider their positions. If homosexuals are truly homosexual from birth, should we condemn innocent babies? Are these undeniably beautiful babies depraved, immoral, and ruinous to society? Or are they simply fabulous Gaybies? Elizabeth Embry, NPR News.
Reporter Elizabeth Embry wants to remind our listeners that Dr. Pinchot is still looking for research subjects. So if you have a child under 12 months old that you wish to be included in their study, contact the Center for Children and Families at the State University of New York at Buffalo. Further information can be found at our NPR website, npr.org.